All right. This was the biggest game of the season, the Browns game, right?
For sure.
This was
100%.
so important that they won this game, because if they didn't, I don't want to say the season is over, but it would have been a lot harder to do anything, make the playoffs, win the division, anything if you lose that game. But now that they won. Ooh.
Yeah, it was definitely a must win. I mean, this early, well, not really early, halfway through the season actually already. But I mean, considering that, wasn't it like their first or only second divisional game, right? They played the Bengals.
Second divisional game.
Browns,
they lost to the Bengals, and then this was their second one. So
yeah. So it was really huge, very huge.
It felt big too. I went into it all week feeling super confident about this game, and then as we got closer and closer, that started to like ebb down a little bit as everybody was expressing all of their fears and concerns, and the Browns fans were talking on Twitter, and I kept thinking, oh, what if we lose? This is going to be so bad. Yeah.
Shout out to the Browns for being the same old Browns.
Good job,
guys. This is just regular same old Browns, but now with higher expectations. So now not only do they suck, now not only do they suck, but now they're disappointing when they suck. So good job, Browns. Good job.
I really took like exceptional glee out of some of the like snarky little comments that were made from the Steelers leading up to that game. Like Ben made some comment about Myles Garrett having those tombstones in his yard, and he's like, well, I'm just glad I'm not the winningest Super Bowl in their stadium anymore. And then he said something about how he could keep his cape because he'd take the win. I was like, this is what I live for. I love this. This is so much better than somebody saying something nasty. I love when you just shut him up and go in and win.
Right. Yeah. And I think he had even said something like he was glad he wasn't the winningest
quarterback in their stadium anymore. Yeah, I love that.
Right.
I love it. Because it's just such a backhanded, like snarky comment. I love it.
Very sly. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the trash talk, not even between the fans, but between the players. There's nothing like Browns Steelers the days leading up to it. It's almost just as exciting as the game itself.
It is. It's so much.
Listen, Ravens Steelers is intense.
It is.
And the Ravens used to be the Browns, but there's nothing like Browns Steelers.
It's always been like that. It's just always been that way. Even when they were terrible, they still ran their mouths, and we still ran ours. And
and then, I mean, I give credit to Baker Mayfield for going out there. The dude has a broken shoulder. He's obviously hurt. But he actually, that game was not his fault.
I was going to say, I don't think any of that was Baker Mayfield's fault. I thought he did far better. I was worried that he would cost them the game trying to be the hero. And I actually thought that he played really well, and it was the other people letting him down.
They did. There were drops. There were, and credit to the Steelers defense. They shut down their running attack, which is like one of the best in the league, and one of the best offensive lines in the league. And they basically shut it down. Nick Chubb's had 60-some yards. That's it.
Yeah. That was surprising. Amazing. That was surprising. I mean, the Steelers defense is good, but the run defense is sort of like their weak spot, if anything. And being that Chubb is the best running back in the league, I was concerned that literally the Browns were going to beat the Steelers just with Nick Chubb alone.
I thought the same thing. I really had that same concern, especially with the game before. Looking at some of the spottiness of the defense, I was really worried. But they came back this time and really just shut everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give credit to the Steelers' defensive line, because they got absolutely gashed against Seattle, and then they come back. And hey, they're dealing with injuries, and they got credit. Got to get. I mean, everybody's growing up.
Right.
You have the defensive line that's getting better. The Steelers' offensive line is getting better. The kids are all right, as the kids say.
Kids are all right.
That's right. Yeah, every game we watch. Every game we watch, I keep saying, I told Joey and Allison, I hope the O-line gets better every week. So we've been talking about that every time. And every time it seems like they're a little better.
Yeah.
Other than those penalties.
Right. Yeah. Chukes a Koehler. Like, I just wanted to be like, dude, you're cut.
Yeah.
You're cut,
what are you doing?
Man. Like,
well,
I think he's got to be the most, what's that?
I was go ahead about.
Oh, I think he's got to
but...
be I think he's got to be the most penalized Steeler of all Steelers.
I said something this week about why we aren't playing Zach Banner some. You know what I mean? Like, you think he would be playing some, and he was reactivated. He's been there practicing, and why isn't he playing some? I just don't really understand it. And, I got a lot of pushback from people who said, well, this group is finally gelling together and, and finally learning to work together. And I don't disagree with that at all. But I still think, some of those penalties that he cost us could be the thing that cost you a game at times. And you just can't afford to make those kinds of mistakes over and over and over again, week after week. And so at what point do you try to see if Banner gels just as well in that spot?
The holding calls, the false starts, those are what kills drives.
It does. It was absolutely brutal.
And it happens way too often.
Yeah.
That's very interesting about Banner, because you're right. He is healthy, but he's a healthy scratch. He's not even a backup.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they asked Tomlin about that today, and he said, well, he needs to knock the rust off. And it's true.
Yeah.
He hasn't really played in a game in a year and a half. So
how do you do that though if you don't play him?
Well, that's what I thought. How do you do it if you don't play him? And I don't know, maybe they didn't want to take the chance against the Browns or whatever. But then as soon as, the fans are quiet because we won, but if we had lost and those penalties had been a factor, then all of a sudden that would have been the thing everybody was screaming about and wondering.
Yeah. And I mean, there is something to be said about continuity, and this group is finally gelling and stuff like that. So we'll see. 100%
agree.
We'll see. I mean, Chooks is the quote unquote veteran, but along with Trey Turner, but he's new. But the kids, Dan Moore and Green, they're stepping up. And Dan Moore did not have the best game, but he went against Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett did not wreck the entire Steelers team. So
yeah, both of them I thought did really well. I was impressed.
Yeah because I mean the Browns offensive line, you know what I'm saying, they're one of the best in the league. So it was pretty surprising that they weren't able to make more, create more. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy they didn't, but you would think that the line would have been able to maybe do some more for Chubb and that Dearness Johnson who had quite a game, the week before. So, definitely a positive. I mean, obviously, anytime you beat the Browns, it's wonderful, but I think this time it means a little bit more. I think because of what happened last year.
I agree. I think we needed this, like to be able to recover from what, the dignity we lost last year, and we needed this to move on. And so, I can't imagine the misery if we had lost. We really needed this.
I love when I think they asked the players, and players are like, yeah, we remember last year, we want to get back at them. And Tom was like, no, that's not a thing. We're not thinking about it. Like, are you kidding? Come on, dude.
I get that you have to say that, but please, that's what everybody is thinking.
Right, no doubt.
You know who else I thought had a really good game was Zach Gentry. I thought that he picked up some of the slack for Juju not be playing, and some of that blocking. He came in and was able to do that. And I actually thought our run game improved a little bit, and not knocking Juju at all and his usual blocking skills, but maybe it was just the difference. Maybe it was something against this defense, but I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, he made a really nice reception too. I want to say it was like third down. It might have even been like in the red zone or something. And I was like, Moose! And I was like, wait a minute.
That's not him.
That's not Moose. It's not Fire Moose.
That's that walking tree that's out there. That walking sequoia that's out there.
He's huge.
I mean, apparently Gentry has improved so much in blocking and catching.
Yeah.
It almost to the point where it's like, okay, are they trading to Ebron?
That's why yeah. I mean, not only was the fact that, he was hurt, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just like Ingram was hurt. What a bunch of baloney there. But yeah, just the fact that he, and Gentry came out and had such a great game. I was like, wow, this is for sure. They're for sure getting rid of Ebron. So
I thought so too.
I don't know.
Well,
maybe they still will, but
right.
I thought so too.
The thing is, whether it's a coincidence or not, the running game for the Steelers was doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And, I've been saying all along, if it's a delicate balance. And if you lose the running game, if you can't run, then it affects the entire team.
Yeah.
But when everything is working, and everything is now, the line is blocking. They're blocking in the run. They're blocking in the pass. It makes Ben look better. And now they have options.
They're faking
now they
field goals.
They're oh no.
God.
What was that? My goodness. Oh my goodness.
I have to say, we did that in 2018 to Villanueva, and he looked like a genius when we did it, and the fans applauded, and Tomlin was a genius. And, I knew when I saw it happening, the first thing out of my mouth was, if this doesn't work, we're screwed, because I know that then everybody's going to be so mad. And what were you thinking? And of course, you can never anticipate that he would get injured then as well.
Right.
And so that just was like the worst possible outcome. Players get injured all the time. It could have happened on any number of plays. I mean, who was it, Grammatica, that got hurt celebrating? I mean, you can get hurt any number of ways. So I don't think that was like a reckless or irresponsible thing, but I was surprised by the decision to do that.
Well, at least the good thing is the game was properly officiated, so that when our kicker, was acting as a passer and he got smashed in the face,
right?
At least a proper penalty was called. Oh wait, that didn't happen.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God.
Those are the things. Everybody comes at me and tells me, like, "Oh, you're like a conspiracy theorist about this NFL officiating." I'm like, I'm not. And these are the things that make me say it. It's craziness. It's not just the Steelers. It's so inconsistent at every level, in every game.
Obviously, as a fan, I'm going to think that the world is against us and everybody hates us. And by the way, Tony Romo, shut up. I'm like, oh, Jim, shut up. Okay, your act is getting tired, bro. But I've heard from many people now that game was very much officiated in the Browns' favor, and not just that play, not just that fake field goal thing, but like the way that the receivers were getting manhandled. How about that? They called
not called holds. I mean, it was
How about they called roughing the passer on the Browns, and then they picked up the flag. They're like, it's bad. Who cares?
It was like they complained, and they were like, "Oh, you're right. We'll erase this. Forget this. This didn't happen." Yeah.
Like what did the Browns guys say? Hey, I said I'm sorry. Okay. I was like, oh, okay, we're good. We're good. I don't know. But I mean, you don't anticipate your kicker getting killed.
No.
But
and like LeeAnn said, if it would have worked, Tomlin would have been a hero. And instead, he was a laughing stock. He was called an idiot, and he was just ripped on by everybody on Twitter. And poor Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. I actually like the aggressiveness. I like the trickery. I miss the old trick plays that we used to do. So I don't mind that stuff. I mean, sometimes it works in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. I like keeping teams on their toes. I don't know that the play they chose to use with him at that time was the best possible one, but I don't dislike the idea of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't want to say,
but somebody was wide open and I'm like, what is he doing?
Wide open. I like that someone said, Chris Boswell out there trying to be a quarterback is what all of us would be if we were out there trying to be quarterback. That's what we would look like.
Actually,
I did like.
I feel like
Boswell's,
it was Beyonce or something.
Yeah, there was somebody wide open. I can't remember who it was.
Chris Boswell's Instagram post is like, I went to Halloween and tried to dress as a quarterback, and that didn't work out.
I saw that. I loved it.
I hope he's okay. I really hope, my goodness, if he's lost for any significant time, that's huge. But did you see
somebody say Derek Watt kicked like a 30-yard field goal in high school? So why didn't they bring him out there to kick it? I was like, at least we'd be using him for something.
Yeah, that's right. He I said today his position is to be changed from fullback to WB, Watt brother. That's his position on the team.
That's really what it is. That's really what it is.
But bonus. I mean, losing Boswell affected that game greatly. Now you don't have a kicker.
And now they changed their whole strategy. They had to strategize around not being able to kick field goals. It's crazy.
Right. It's and to kick off. I mean, it was crazy, even for kickoffs.
There was a time where they were in field goal range. It's like, oh wait, we're not in field goal range because we don't have a kicker.
Right. Presley was coming out, and I was like, oh no.
I know. He's gonna kick a field goal.
Cam Hayward said that too.
He's like, do that.
Cam Hayward says, like, I saw him practicing kicks, and I thought, oh my God.
I think he said something like, oh hell no.
Yeah.
Oh hell no.
Oh no.
I was like, maybe this is just to psych him out. Please turn around and leave the field. Please
go, no, turn around, go this way. Oh,
I know nothing about the kicking and the punting and the whole, you know what I'm saying? But you would think that a punter would know how to kick. And it's interesting that they don't. A lot of them don't.
How do one of them is accuracy and one of them is power. I know that much. Do you know what I mean? So yes. When you're a punter, it's more about power versus when you're a field goal kicker, it's more about the accuracy.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But here's an idea. Let's get some kind of plan. You know, maybe take 5 minutes out of your day, Harvin, and practice being a place kicker or something.
Right.
I mean, you know,
I was kind of shocked there was no like backup emergency plan. I don't know what I thought it was, but I just assumed we had something. And I was kind of shocked when it was obvious there was nothing. I didn't expect anybody to be able to come out and kick a 50-yarder, but you know, I figured extra points, kickoffs, short field goals. Surely somebody could do those things.
Well, injuries happen. They asked Tomlin something about that during the press conference today. And he said that they have a contingency plan, and I don't know if it's just because now they have one because they didn't before. But then somebody had pressed him and asked him,
always happens after
who are your emergency plan? I don't want to get into that right now.
I'm not telling. That's because you don't have one.
Right. I think it was Alabama a couple of years ago. They couldn't kick an extra point for crap. They'd score all the touchdowns in the world, but couldn't kick an extra point. So they went for 2 like every time they scored. I forget, that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And that's what it reminded me of. It was just craziness.
Yeah.
At some point they asked so how did you adjust with no place kicker? And Tomlin said, Ben's been operating as if we've had no place kicker for a long time. He always wants to go for 2. He always wants to go for it.
Yeah.
And when he ran it in, man, I was like, oh no.
I was so excited. That was such a terrible call. I was like, yes, please give my man some credit. He deserves it. Everybody's so mean to him.
Yeah.
And then they took it away.
Happy. I was happy for him. But at the same time, you know, anytime Ben does something like that, my heart sinks.
Right.
My heart stops. It's like watching your dad run. You're like, please don't let him get hurt.
If he falls, he's not going to be able to get up.
Yeah, it's all over. If he breaks anything else, we're done. He can't afford to.
Yeah, they're done. Yeah. Ben and TJ, those are your 2 most valuable players. So, but yeah, I mean, but speaking of trades, there was a trade today. Yeah. This one's a head scratcher. Melvin Ingram.
Yeah.
I don't get this. I just don't understand how he went from joining the team during, in the summer, knowing the situation, and then all of a sudden being bad about the situation.
Do you think he just overestimated his own contributions or abilities, and then he got there and he thought he was going to be like the star, and then when he wasn't, he's front, you know what I mean? Like it's like sour grapes kind of thing, because
it's possible he thought
it's
he
the
was
only
going to
thing
beat
that
out
makes sense
Highsmith.
to me.
That's what I'm thinking.
He thought he was going to beat out Highsmith.
That's what he kind of implied, and that's what I think. And then when he didn't beat out Alex Highsmith, he was angry and frustrated, and then it's like that sour grapes thing. Well, I don't want to be here anyways, and I want to trade and all of this. Sorry.
Well, I mean, he's looking out for himself.
Sure.
You need the numbers, and to get the numbers, you need the playing time.
Yeah.
So when it was obvious that, when TJ or Highsmith were hurt with the groin,
right,
groin-demic that was going on,
right,
then they were, then he was getting lots of playing time, but every week they were getting healthier and he was getting less time.
But even when he was getting playing time, he wasn't putting up numbers such as that where you were like, oh, this is earth shattering, and we definitely have to keep him or find a way to make him fit.
Right. He had a sack and maybe a couple of hits in the one start, but that was his time to be like, yo, I'm back.
Right. It's time to shine. Like, here I am. Be glad you have me. And it wasn't there. I mean, but it just wasn't there.
He's coming in with lousy numbers. That's why he was a free agent that we picked up off the scrap heap in the first place.
$20.
Yeah, because he didn't have any sacks last year. He basically came in with lousy numbers. He's like, I can't have lousy numbers again.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and it turns out, so not only was it a 6th round draft pick, not only did the Steelers not get anything at all, pretty much, the NFL transaction wire came out this afternoon. It's a transition. It's a conditional draft pick.
Okay.
Oh.
So the terms haven't been released, but he has to. It's performance based. He's got to play a certain amount of time, or the Steelers aren't getting anything.
That's
wow.
Lousy. Yeah. See, now when I first saw it this afternoon, my initial response, I tweeted something about how this felt like karma because I made fun of the Jared Goff trade that we were getting nothing for this guy. But then the more I thought about it as the day went on, I was like, maybe it kind of makes sense because we kind of picked him up for nothing and he wasn't performing. And so if we do get something out of it, even this extra 6th round pick, then maybe that's better than the nothing we have right now. But if it's conditional and he's not performing, then that almost looks like we're paying to get rid of him.
Right. And that's the thing. When it was first released this morning, it just said 6th round pick. It didn't say conditional. And then I get the transaction wire and it says conditional in parentheses. So
yeah, that's not good.
That's messed up.
I think everybody said that. I think everybody said, wait, that's it? That's all we got for him?
Yeah.
Right.
A 6?
Yeah.
It's
feels like
now it's even worse because he's got to play.
Yeah.
Again, it's different with every player, every contract. It's the percentage, the amount of, the amount of time that the player has to play is different.
Right.
But I don't know. It might be crazy for him because he's so injury prone. The Chiefs might have been like, hey, we'll give you this, but he's got to do this. So I don't know. It's kind of scary.
The weird thing is, and I don't know if anybody knows these darn draft compensation rules of when you lose free agents and stuff like that, but if they just held on to him, I'll bet they would have got like maybe a 3rd or 4th round draft pick back.
Well, that's what I wondered is if they could have done better. I don't know the rules well enough, like that much detail to be sure, but I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense to me.
And I mean, the whole point of him was like an insurance policy in case anything happened to Highsmith or TJ. So now we just have to hope that nothing happens to Highsmith or TJ.
Oh, but we have Taco.
Taco around.
Okay.
I'm excited to have him as a Steeler.
Great name.
Too.
It's a great name.
Yeah, I mean, but he only played 10 snaps on Sunday. And I don't know. I'm so like,
I have failed as a parent. I did not name my daughter. Name my daughter Taco.
After a food item.
I wish I would have.
Every once in a while things pop up and I'm like, why didn't I name a kid that? That's a great name.
Good time.
Yeah, well, time will tell with him.
Yeah. I mean, he's a former first round draft pick, so
yeah.
He has a pedigree.
This is like a 14 in 5 years, but that's okay.
Right. Here's the notable thing about Taco. He was picked in the same draft as TJ, and he was actually picked ahead of TJ.
Yeah.
Which the Cowboys fans are still mad about. It's like, wait, we could have had TJ Watt, but we ended up with Taco.
Well, remember, everybody thought TJ Watt that, he was being overinflated because of his brother, and he was never going to produce like JJ, and he was never going to be that good, and this is ridiculous. And I mean, he's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That sounds like that had Jerry Jones written all over it. It's like, hey, we could have TJ Watt, or we could get Taco. Ooh, Taco. Yeah, I like Taco. Yeah, get Taco.
I love tacos.
Yeah, I like Taco. Yeah, get him. It's like, wait, is that your lunch order, or is that the person we're drafting? Yes. Okay.
Yes to both.
I'm really surprised that they didn't acquire anybody.
Me too.
They could have used that. They could have used another wide receiver. They could have used depth on the defensive line. They could have used
line. I mean,
line depth
at a lot of
they, why not trade one of these? I mean, heck, if the going rate for a player is a 6th or 7th round draft pick, hey, let's just throw those around.
Right.
The future quarterback after Ben Roethlisberger leaves. I mean, come on. There's so many.
I'm willing to give up his 6th round draft pick for one of those. No problem. No problem. Yeah. I was surprised. I kept waiting for the and. We got a 6th round draft pick and
right.
Yeah.
And Mahomes.
Jerry Dulac came out.
Yes, and Mahomes.
He was all like, "Hey, the Steelers aren't done yet, per my source." And I was like, "Oh, cool. There's gonna be more."
Yeah. Nothing.
Nobody is more. When Jerry Dulac says something like that, you take it to the bank, because that dude is connected.
Yeah.
That dude knows. He called the whole draft. He called.
He did.
He called. He knew exactly what they were gonna do. He's like, "Hey, don't be surprised if they take Pat Freiermuth in the 2nd round." It's like, what are you talking about? And it happens. Like, okay, that dude knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I expected, when I saw that, I expected more, and I was shocked. I kept checking and nothing.
Yep.
I threw this out there. What would you think if somehow the Steelers acquired Odell Beckham Jr.? No, I did not ask what you think about liver and onions or broccoli.
Yeah. Oh, liver and onions, yes.
I like liver and onions better than him.
I love liver and onions compared to OBJ. That's for sure.
You guys are like,
he's just so. I thought about the same thing, because it's like, why not? We need a receiver.
He is the first person that hasn't been like, Steelers fans haven't been like, we should sign. Every time there's a rumor, all the Steelers fans are like, let Brick come to Pittsburgh. He's the first person that came out. It was like crickets in Pittsburgh.
The Raiders released Nathan Peterman. Let's pick him up. Let's pick him up.
Right, every crappy player, but not him. No,
I'm guilty of that. Every time I see a player, it's like, oh yeah, let's get him. Oh yeah, new shiny toy.
To talk about what you could do, like, how would this work? How would this person fit in our scheme? Even if it's just fanciful and fun. But with him, he's old. Doesn't play nice with others.
He's lazy and
he's lazy and he's arrogant. I just no interest in him. And now he's got his dad acting like he's a sophomore in high school, not getting enough playing time, making videos and complaining of all the times Baker could have thrown him the ball. Who needs that? That's terrible. Come on,
could have been like a Hall of, you know what I mean? Like, if he'd have just kept it up, I mean, even despite the injuries, he just went to Cleveland and just didn't do anything.
It was like the apathy of the town just like soaked into him. And you're right. He just, he's like, well, we're not going to win, so why am I going to care? Because he had so much raw natural talent. He could have been so great if he'd either been in the right situation or if he decided to just persevere in spite of it. He could have been great, but he chose not to. Other people do. Look at Nick Chubb. I mean, there's other players who do.
I don't know what happened with him or that situation, but that is 100% a horrible trade. It's just a horrible situation. And you know what? He's been hurt half the time anyway. Yeah, he's either hurt or just not effective.
Right.
But God, when he was with the Giants, he was the
it was
man.
amazing.
He was
so good.
You could say he was like either like the top 3 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah.
Now we're just like, I wouldn't pick him up if he was released.
Right.
I do think it makes a big difference which organization a player goes to. I don't think that can be overstated. You know what I mean? It just makes such a big difference. I mean, look at our rookie quarterback situation right now. I kept saying that I thought Mac was going to be the one who did the best because I thought he was going to go to the Patriots, and I thought the Patriots would do the most to set him up for success. And then that's kind of what's happening. You know, when you look at where they are right now through game 8, you know, some of those other rookies just aren't performing at that level, but they don't have that same organizational support. I don't like Bill Belichick particularly, but he's a really good coach who knows what to do with his players and knows how to build them up.
And he knows how to cut off his hoodie sleeves.
And that too.
And there's a lot to be said.
He's always comfortable.
Right.
He's always comfortable.
There was it was a perfect marriage for Mac Jones in the Patriots.
Oh yeah,
but
it really is.
You also have to consider that Mac Jones came from Alabama, which is like they should rename Alabama and call it like NFL Technical Institute or something like that, because basically all it is a career career preparation for the NFL.
Right.
Basically, it's just such, you know, I mean, look at Najee. Najee came in day 1 and was ready to be the man.
And not just at a level of performance, but with his maturity.
Look at Minka. Minka's from Alabama too.
Yeah. It's not just their play, it's the maturity and their attitude and the way they handle press. It's all of it.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know, like in hindsight's 2020, but look at that, like Trey Lance in San Fran. The guy played like, first of all, he played lousy competition. Second of all, he barely played, and they made him, you know, like one of the top picks. So, yeah. And, you know, let me look at, you know, Steelers' future opponent, that's the Bears. Justin Fields is struggling like crazy. He's just not ready yet. But not. Yeah. I mean, Mac Jones is looking great, and he's just looking better every week. So, oh, God.
And that's what's interesting about Fields is now I'm afraid that, you know, he may never, because of the shock to the system, you know, he's talented, but he may never be able to be that guy now because
it's very possible.
Kind of was thrown to the wolves, and you know, now
I call it Jets disease, where you start out on a terrible team, and it's always terrible, and you learn bad habits, and you're running for your life, and you're just in a bad situation all the time, and you turn out bad. Look at Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
So
Washington does the same thing with their quarterbacks. They throw them out there to the wolves. They give them no support. Then they publicly blast them and blame them for everything that goes wrong in the game. You got this 23-year-old kid sitting there thinking what just happened. And then we're going to bench you and bring somebody else in, but then they're not good. So then we're going to bench that. You know what I mean? And it's just this revolving door. And you're right. They learn bad habits and they don't get any support. Look at
Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins. Perfect example.
Every Browns quarterback before Baker Mayfield.
Thank you. Exactly.
All 22 of them.
You don't even know if they were ever going to be a good quarterback because they're just in such a lousy situation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so much expected of them. It's not fair.
But as long as Justin Fields doesn't figure it out next Monday night,
right? I don't care. Lousy for a little while longer.
Yeah, keep struggling, bro. I mean, I hate to say it. You don't want to get ahead of yourself, but Chicago should be a win. Detroit definitely should be a win. And now you're looking at possibly them being 6-3.
Yeah.
Then you got week 11 at the Chargers. I think that's a winnable game.
Yeah. I think it's winnable.
Then week 12 at Cincinnati.
It's hard going out west, you know.
It
is, but they seem to do well against the Chargers. They suck against the Raiders. They suck against the 49ers. They suck when they go to Seattle. But when they go to the Chargers, they seem to do all right.
And like 90% of the crowd is Steelers fans, so that always
right. I was going to say that too. It's almost like a mini home game.
So, and then week 12 at the Bengals, I actually like the Steelers' chances there because that home game against the Bengals, that didn't count. That was without TJ, right. And I believe that was also with the one without Highsmith. And it's like you're not getting off that easy again, Joey Burrow.
We don't usually lose twice.
I don't know. I'm really getting excited about the season now. I mean,
I put out it makes you optimistic.
Yeah. I put out a poll, like how many wins do you think they'll end up with? And 47% said 8 to 9 wins and 41% said 10 to 11 wins. I could see 10 or 11 wins easy.
I was in the 41% on your poll. Yeah.
I mean, shout out to the 4% that said 12 or more wins. Like, that's diehard right there.
Aww,
I try not to get myself too crazy, but any of it.
But that's a thing. It's, they got the formula now. This is exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to win with running and defense, and it's working. Now, they didn't acquire anybody at the trade deadline, but they are hopefully going to acquire Stephon Tuitt. Hopefully he shows up.
Yeah.
And that would help a lot.
It would help. It would make a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still really weird how Tomlin's been about the whole Tuitt thing. I mean, not that he has to come out and say, every single little detail about it, but it's just he's always very short when the reporters ask him about it. So it's just
I
don't know.
I mean, what are we in? We're in week 8 and week 9, and so I think it's I don't think, I mean, it was a terrible tragedy, with the family, but I don't think that's why he's out. I think he has a significant I believe knee injury or something like that. And just like when we said about Zach Banner that he has to take off the rust, you got to take off the rust off to it too. One thing they hate is picking up somebody that hasn't been actively practicing and working. They hate picking up, as they call people, off the couch.
Yeah.
So, and I know Tuitt is, trying to, rehab or whatever he's doing, but
what he can do. He has been very quiet about it though, which at first led me to think that he was struggling more with the loss than with an injury.
Right.
But then now as time's gone on, I don't know. And you're right, not that he owes anybody an explanation, but it makes you wonder what's going to happen.
You just don't hear much.
Right. Of anything.
Well, one way or the other, what's going on. So we'll see. Hopefully soon. But
fingers crossed.
Oh boy, it's nice winning. Losing sucks. I like winning better.
I really do
I
too.
love losing. Let's lose some more.
I really
I'll send you a plane ticket to Cleveland. You can see what losing's like, or you could drive off to Jacksonville if you like losing so much.
That's true. It's not very far.
Thanks. Right.
I was born in Cleveland though, so I know all about losing.
Were you really?
I was.
Hey.
Cleveland came over to the light. I'm glad you came to the light.
Was that?
I said, I'm glad you came to the light.
Yeah. Well, my parents were born in Pittsburgh, so they moved over to Oberlin, and I was just kind of like, okay, you guys are still going to be Steelers fans. Oh yeah, definitely. Thank goodness.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I know somebody that grew up in Cleveland, and he is so bitter. He hates I've visited Cleveland many times. It's a very nice city. It's a nice town, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They have a lot of things going on, but this guy's bitter. Like, what did they do to you?
True. It's true.
And some of those people on Twitter, those Browns people. That's bless your heart, guys.
I have to say, like, if it were me and I was a Browns fan, even as a Steelers fan, we have a history of winning. I keep the trash talking to like somewhat of a bare minimum, especially like leading right up to a game, because I know if we lose, I don't want to listen to it all. But they just don't stop. I mean, I had them all in my mentions all last week. I really wasn't even poking anybody with a stick. All of them calling me,
Listen.
you know.
It is easy to be a Steelers fan. We win every year.
Yeah.
We haven't had a losing season in like 15 years. To be a Browns fan and for them to suck year after year after year and to still stick with them.
Yeah.
Hey,
Right.
I give you all the respect. Hey,
there's some teams like that. I totally admire their fans that stick with them and stay loyal through all of these really tough years. The Jets, Washington, Browns, a lot of them.
every year.
Miami.
Every year. And it's so funny because the NFL is designed for everything to be even and everybody to be even. And if you're good, we'll punish you by getting, your cap will be bad and you won't get the best draft picks and stuff like that. If you're bad, you get an easier schedule and good draft picks and stuff. And it doesn't matter. The bad teams are always good and the bad teams are always bad and the good teams are always good.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
I've been waiting to talk Steelers. I'm just so glad to get it all out of my chest.
Same.
I can only scream at TV so much, but just in conclusion, the refs and all the broadcasters, they are against us, especially on Sunday night. Chris Collinsworth hates us. No, but seriously, okay. One more thing about that field goal thing. They never talked about it. They never talked about, hey, they just mentioned, oh, by the way, Chris Boswell is out. Like it was some mystery. Injured. Like what? What did he trip or
he
something?
Got hurt on the sideline or something.
Right.
During a commercial.
And they have a guy. They have a guy there, a ref that's supposed to be a rules analyst. That they're supposed to ask about it. And even Gene Steratore is like, well, if you're not talking to me, I'm just going to go on Twitter and tell you what's going on and what I think.
Right. Yeah. Because they talked about every other little thing that was a non-event that happened with the Browns. But then, that huge thing we're not going to even address. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the ref,
like taboo, to say anything about it.
Yeah.
Right.
It just reinforces all my superstitions.
And then they asked the ref and the ref's like, well, we didn't think the contact was really that much or something. Or we didn't see it or something like that. We didn't see
it. Yeah, he said we didn't see it like 2 or 3 different times.
Yeah.
Like, how did you not see it?
How did you not see it?
How did you not?
Somebody had to see it. Because you're supposed to be following the player and the ball. So how do you not see it?
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Lies.
They're all against us. They're all against us. It's a
Steelers against the world, baby.
Yes,
that's right.
That's right. All right. Hey, thanks so much, everyone.
Guys. Bye.
Bye.